I'm Jim Phillips, and this is Townsquare Sunday. It's a weekly public affairs program highlighting individuals and organizations working to improve the quality of life here on the South Coast. And my guest this morning is part of she's the owner of the business, but she's really part of a team of people that have space at 1213 Purchase Street in New Bedford. That's the old SMTI facility, for those who don't know. And they've started something called Groundwork. The concept is called coworking. It's a little bit new for people like me. We're going to find out more. Here to explain is Sarah Anthanis of Groundwork. Welcome.
Thanks, Jim, for having me.
Sarah, I guess we should start by explaining what is Groundwork for those who don't know. You may have heard the word around New Bedford. It's actually been here for 5 years, or almost 5 years.
Yeah.
What is Groundwork?
So Groundwork, as you said, is a co-working space. That's a concept and a business model that's been around for, I'd say, about 10 years now. So it's still relatively new, particularly in smaller cities like ours. And co-working spaces are shared office spaces. So they're typically for freelancers and consultants, smaller teams of maybe 2 to 3 people. We have a lot of remote workers, so people that work for a company remotely that's far away. And we also have some small nonprofits. So for small teams and individuals, it's a way to share office resources, to have colleagues, to have some human interaction. We provide meeting rooms as well. We provide all of the amenities, bottomless coffee, copying and scanning, and all the things that you need to work so you can just show up and not worry about managing an office space.
And they have windows.
Yes, lots of them.
Well, that's important to some. I know now you lease the space. That's kind of how the business works.
We do.
You lease the space. How many individuals or groups do you have involved right now?
So we have about 87 members, the last count, and there are a lot of solopreneurs and consultants, so just individual members. We have about 6 nonprofits in the space right now, which are usually 1 to 2 person teams for the nonprofits. And then we have a handful of remote workers as well.
Why does this concept work in 2019? Actually, it's worked for quite some time.
Yeah.
In New Bedford now, why does this work?
I think the way that people work is changing, and we're seeing more and more people work remotely. A lot of companies are discovering that people want freedom, and that's more cost effective than having a 10-year commercial lease or whatever it is. So we're just seeing a shift. We're also seeing a lot of growth in the gig economy where people are going out on their own. They're working for a handful of different clients. And that kind of work, I speak from personal experience, can get really lonely if you don't have a space to show up to and people to interact with who know your name and know what you're working on. So I think that's really where the appeal comes from, and I think it's really filling a necessary need that we have as the modern workforce.
So you have about 80 or so folks involved now, groups, teams of people.
Yeah.
Who's your target customer? Do you set out to recruit individuals more so than teams, or tell me about how you go about recruiting folks. That's a great question. I think a space like ours, because it's mostly open space, we don't have a lot of private offices, so individuals tend to be better than teams. We also find that individuals are more likely to interact with the community, where teams will just tend to interact with each other. But the teams that we do have been really great. But yeah, I'd say our ideal person is an individual that's either a consultant or works remotely. And give me some, you've talked about this already, I think, to some extent, but you mentioned some advantages of this co-working space. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think one of the big ones that I touched on a little bit is just having human interaction on a regular basis. I was motivated to start the space because I was working myself as a freelancer and a consultant. And I realized not only did I feel lonely working out of a home office, but I also felt like without having that peer interaction, I was also sort of losing my edge on like what's going on in my field. I wasn't able to bounce ideas off of people. I think we do better work in the company of others. So I think that's one of the huge benefits. But I think it's also, it's very convenient and cost effective for people. It's a professional place to meet with clients without having to lease an office. It takes all of the planning and the coordination of an office off your hands, so you can just show up and work.
And you are located, we should mention, right above the New Bedford Economic Development Council.
Below them, actually.
Below them.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
so we're
sorry.
on the first floor.
Yeah. So, on what floor are you on?
The first floor.
First floor.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know that space.
Right on the corner.
And that is a kind of a story in itself. You were looking for space some 4 years ago or so. How did you find that space?
Yeah, so it was, on an impulse, I was Googling New Bedford and starting a business in New Bedford, and I came across the Economic Development Council's website, and they had on there a little thing that said, interested in starting a business in New Bedford, email Angela. And so I just clicked on it, and I thought, okay, I'll email Angela, and I shot off a message to her about co-working, and she was very receptive, got back to me right away, set up a meeting, took us around, showed us a lot of different spaces. So that partnership with them has been really key from the beginning, and they actually ended up ultimately renting us out a space in their building. So they've really been supportive of what we're trying to do. And
really, that's kind of their job, to bring businesses to New Bedford.
Right.
And you are a business, or it was a new business back 4.5 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So this is Townsquare Sunday. My guest is Sarah Anthanis of Groundwork in New Bedford. That's co-working space. They're located at 1213 Purchase Street in New Bedford, and the former SMTI building right below the New Bedford Economic Development Commission offices. Who's your typical leasee or a person that you bring in?
The largest group that we have right now are definitely the freelancer and consultant group. So people that work individually, usually with a bunch of clients, and are figuring out how to make that work.
Are there other parts of the nation or the world where this type of working atmosphere is very popular? I know you actually found this place in another place.
Yeah.
Another part of the world.
Yeah, in Argentina. So imagine that. That was, probably 7 years ago now that I found that space. So co-working is really huge in like what we would call the tier 1 cities, Boston, Washington, D.C., particularly cities that have a big tech scene. So San Francisco, Seattle, those types of spaces is really... Those cities have like 20, 30, 40, 50 co-working spaces. It's a very competitive market.
But here the market is yours.
Yeah,
right now,
for now. Yeah.
But in terms of, you were in Argentina, were you a student, or how did that all come
No,
together?
I was actually down there for a job. So I was working for a company based out of Denver doing their marketing, and they had their web developers and designers all based in Buenos Aires at the time. So I got sent down there to take on that gig, and I did that for a couple of years, and then decided to kind of strike out on my own after that.
Does the New Bedford space, based on what you've seen other parts of the country and other parts of the world, is the New Bedford space much different? To some degree, have you tried to make it a little different?
I'm biased because I think we have the most beautiful space of any of the spaces I've been to. We're really blessed with the brick walls and the tall ceilings and the giant windows. So it's a really beautiful space, and people visit us from other co-working spaces, and that's sort of like the first impression we get when people come in is, wow, this is amazing. And a lot of what we also hear is people are like, I can't believe this exists in New Bedford. So that's always an interesting comment. Yeah. Yep.
See, why did you choose New Bedford? Because it's exactly that attitude that would make me wonder, geez, is this going to work in New Bedford? Because for whatever reason, it seems like the newest innovations, they land in New Bedford, 5 years after they've been a big hit somewhere else. So what made you look at New Bedford and say, was it simply because we didn't have this here?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. I had just moved back to the United States from South America when I thought about starting this business. And New Bedford, I think based on the fact that it's a port city, it's an old port city, so it reminded me a lot of Buenos Aires, and it had this interesting mix of cultures, the Portuguese, the French Canadians, and new immigrants coming in. So all of those things sort of attracted me, I think, in a way. It just felt like a comfortable place to live. And it's, as I've been here, I've discovered that it's such a close-knit community of people who are really passionate about improving the city. So it's been a lot of fun to be a part of that.
It clearly is an active group of people here in New Bedford.
Yeah, yep.
Whether it's culturally or economically, who are working every day really to try
Mm-hmm.
and improve the city of New Bedford. So, of the people you've had come in, does everybody think it great? Not everybody likes it. Tell me about it. I mean, you must have some various reactions to this co-working space.
Definitely. The biggest thing I think that causes people to turn away is the lack of privacy. For a lot of people, that's still a really hard thing to get used to if you're used to working in an office where you go into the office and you shut the door when you want to. So some people are a little bit turned off by that, and that's sort of where kind of like, well, we're not the place for you if that's what you're looking for. Also, people that spend a lot of time on the phone. We do have 2 phone booths, so we accommodate phone calls, and there are different places people can go. But if you're on the phone all day, it's probably not the best space for you. Yeah.
All right, that's an honest assessment, I'm sure. No, really, because some folks may not, I think you're right. I think for those kinds of people who do that kind of work, this kind of open community thing is probably not for them.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of equipment, in terms of furniture, you had to acquire all of that?
We did, yeah. Yep, so when we first opened, it was mostly IKEA furniture and Craigslist furniture and some used office chairs that we got from a hotel in Boston that was selling its old chairs. So it was a very bootstrap, low-budget furnishing of the space. Fortunately, the space is so beautiful that it still looked really nice. So over the years, I've sort of gone, slowly replacing and improving things to get better furniture. Yeah.
And this business that we call Groundwork, a co-working space in New Bedford, located at 1213 Purchase Street in the former SMTI building. How can people learn more about Groundwork in New Bedford? Where can they go? I know you've got a wonderful website, I believe.
Yes.
With a terrific video on it. You can actually see a lot, but tell me about that.
Yeah, so our website is easy to remember. It's newbedfordcoworking.com. And right on the homepage, we have a video of one of our members, Matt Medeiros, just showing a day in the life at a co-working space. So it's a great way to kind of get a better feel for what it's all about. We also have buttons all over our website, big green buttons to book a tour. So I highly recommend, book a tour, come in, grab a cup of coffee. You can work for the day, check your emails, and just kind of get a sense and a feel for what it's all about.
What's the web address again?
It's newbedfordcoworking.com.
All right. And on Facebook, you have a page as well?
Yep, we have a Facebook page as well, so you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, we're on Twitter, all the social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you like best about it? You.
Me
Sarah.
Personally. Gosh, that's a good question. So many things. I think one of the most rewarding things for me is just watching people interact in the space, watching people meet somebody that they might never know if they hadn't joined Groundwork. It's always really cool to see that happen. And seeing members help each other without us trying to intervene or sort of artificially make it happen. I've seen people help each other with SEO, with email marketing, with different issues and things like that. So it's really rewarding to see the community sort of start to build itself and become really authentic.
All right, so there is a cost to this, and some people might say, well, I mean, you have to go into a building and use their material, and I mean there is a cost, but it's a unique concept. fossils like me, who have never worked in that situation like that, are kind of interested in how this all came together. And Sarah Anthenas has told us really how it all happened, and in New Bedford, and it seemed like a great place to come to. And we're glad you're here.
Thanks, Jim.
Doing some new things.
Absolutely.
That's great. My thanks to Sarah Anthenas of Groundwork for coming in and enlightening us about the concept of co-working and groundwork. And the best of luck with this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Don't go away. Townsquare Sunday returns in just a moment.